Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and here I have the black locust, one of the most interesting and most controversial trees I've ever encountered. Well, yeah, once I was planning to make a video about whether the black locust fruit are edible, but then I was told that they are toxic, but spoiler alert, the flowers make up for this toxicity. But first, what about the black locust, Robinia pseudoacacia, literally the false acacia? Well, here, first, I don't really have trees of the black locust. Those are suckers. After the area got bulldozed and the trees got removed, the suckers are coming up everywhere, making a dense thicket of locust. Well, suckers, and yeah, after 20 years they will become full-size trees. Actually, this tree can grow to quite respectable sizes. It can get over a meter thick, which is even more impressive considering the fact that the wood is incredibly hard. Yeah, it's native to the eastern United States, but it has been introduced in, well, most of Europe, in northern and southern Africa and big parts of Asia. It's considered a very useful tree by some and a horrible pest by others. Well, why is it a very useful tree? I already mentioned the wood. It's incredibly hard and tough and, yeah, quite flexible. Doesn't break even under great stress. So it was used to make everything from cartwheels to handles for tools. Nowadays in Germany they like to use it for children's playgrounds because they realized that they had been treating the soft woods of children's playgrounds for decades with horribly toxic chemicals. With the black locust you can use the core wood, which is incredibly hard. The outer layers of the wood, of the timber, are actually quite soft, but the center is incredibly hard, and you can make playgrounds and other outdoor things out of it and leave them alone for decades and they will not rot. Yeah, so very good timber. The tree grows in a wide range of climates, like as I said, North Africa, South Africa, and also most of Europe and large parts of Asia. The honey harvest is incredible. It will flower for less than 2 weeks, but, well, right now there are just a few bees on it. I don't know why. Maybe there are so many flowers now or there are no beehives around, but Acacia Honey, as it's being sold, is one of the best quality honeys in my opinion. It's quite famous. It has a really interesting greenish color, very tasty. Very sticky. It's basically like glue. Yeah, so very good timber, very good honey. You can feed the leaves to your goats and other animals. They are very nutritious. It's a Fabaceae tree. Because it's a Fabaceae, of course, it produces a lot of nitrogen, thus making infertile soil fertile without using any artificial fertilizer. Yeah, in the current time of climate change, people throughout Europe and I guess throughout the world are looking for plants, especially trees from other climates they can use to replace the local forest trees, and this is one of the favorite trees of European forestry people. So yeah, lots of positive things about it, but as I said, it's considered a horrible weed in many areas because, as a forestry guy once told me, well, it's not a bad tree, but once it has established itself somewhere, it's impossible to get rid of it. So look at this. They bulldozed the whole area and the stuff still survived. They should have bulldozed it and then cut the grass 3 times a year or 4 times a year, then they would have killed it. But they didn't, and so it survived from the roots, and now they might have bulldozed like 2 or 3 older trees, and now there are thousands of suckers which will become, well, after some culling, some self-culling, they will become a couple hundred trees. Yeah, a lot of my work as a nature conservation biologist and habitat manager is to fight this tree, and it's almost impossible to kill it. It's one of the really really tough invasive species. But of course this channel is not about timber and not about invasive species, but about fruit. Yeah, since the fruit of this stuff are toxic, or somebody told me they are toxic. I didn't find any data on it, but for now, until the fruit come up, I will still stick to this. I will research them before I try them. Well, the fruit might be toxic, but the flowers. When I was a little child in Sofia in Bulgaria, my parents and grandparents told me you can eat the flowers of the white acacia and of the purple acacia, but never of the yellow acacia. Of course, this was a very wise advice, which is maybe the only reason I'm still standing here. But of course, none of those trees were acacias. What they meant was the white acacia was Robinia pseudoacacia. The pink acacia was Robinia neomexicana, which back then was planted a lot throughout Sofia. And the yellow acacia was Laburnum anagyroides, a really toxic fabaceae, well, shrub or small tree. And so, yeah, we used to eat the white and pink acacia flowers, but we never touched the yellow acacia flowers. Then, decades later, I had a roommate from Korea who said, yeah, children like foraging for those in the countryside in spring. It's a very typical thing in Korea. People from the US told me the same. So, yeah. Well, since a fruit is nothing but a slightly more mature flower, basically, here you eat the fruit at the right time of the year. Well, what can we say about this? Well, no big trade-off, because the fruit don't seem to be edible. So no matter how many flowers you eat, they will still be enough. And you don't need the fruit anyway. Maybe a small trade-off: if you would eat tons of them, you will have less honey in your area. But I don't think you can decimate the Robinia flowers, because in most areas this stuff occurs. There are just millions of trees. Yeah, well, easy to harvest when they are so low. That's why I make the video here in this group of suckers instead of under some big tree. Yeah. Then, well, they don't seem to be toxic, because children throughout the temperate and subtropical areas of the world eat them. And now let's see how the taste is. They taste of peas, they taste of fruit, they taste of vegetable. It's a good taste. Those are not extremely sweet, and they're even slightly tart or astringent, but quite a good taste. By now, we've had over a month of drought. So foraging for green leafy vegetables, well, you could still do it, but most of them are quite tough and not very tasty anymore. We are in the first week of May. The fruit of last year have basically rotted away. The younger ones are sweeter. What about the buds? Sweeter though. So last year's fruit have rotted away. This year's fruit are just arriving. After this drought, the leafy green vegetables you can use are getting tough and bitter. So basically, for foraging in the first weeks of May, or in warmer Mediterranean areas, it will be April or even March in some areas. In the mountains, it might last until June. Yeah, this is the best stuff you can, one of the best things you can get right now for foraging in Germany. There are a couple other flowers, but they are mostly good for tea or stuff, or growing in small amounts. And here, you don't need to bend down to the ground. You don't need to climb up a tree. You just pick them at eye level in big amounts, and stuff your face. I guess you could collect a huge amount and make a salad with oil and vinegar and salt and some other spices. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite things to forage in spring. They don't have giant amounts would poison you. I don't think so, because little children, when they find something tasty they can pick in the wild, usually they will eat giant amounts, and I've never heard of a case of Robinia poisoning. So folks, yeah, eat the black locust fruit in spring. Don't confuse them with any toxic species. Don't eat any yellow fabaceae. Eat the black locust flowers in spring. The black locust flowers, which are white. Don't confuse them with any toxic fabaceae shrubs or trees. Don't eat any flowers from any fabaceae shrub or tree with yellow flowers, or you might get some toxic species. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos, because now finally the fruit season in Germany is starting. And of course, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.